All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started here in a few minutes, or seconds, but wanted to let you know that we have a new way of doing Q&A at JNUC. If you've been to JNUC before, we actually are going to use the app. So your favorite device, you can fire up that app, then go into the Q&A module, pose your questions there, and the virtual attendees will be doing the same. So it's going to be one huge big family. We can all ask questions in the app, and then I'll jump back up towards the end, and I can throw the best questions at the two presenters. So that's just a quick little note there. If you can't get the app to work, we have been told to try quitting and restarting. It's a very familiar phrase. I'm sure you've said it before. Have you tried turning it off and on again? That actually is the advice I was given. And then, of course, if there are folks that just really are much more comfortable shouting it out, or you just are overcome with your curiosity, we can try to accommodate that as well. But I will ask the hosts, or I will myself repeat your question if I don't get the microphone to you in time. So with that, I'm super excited to introduce this session. Hopefully you're here for Between Two MDMs, Jamf Pro and Jamf School. That's the full title. And they wanted me to ask if this setup, this stage environment, reminded you of any other show you may have seen on the YouTubes or anywhere. It's just, is anyone picking up what we're putting? Okay, I'm seeing some nods. Yes, Zach Galifianakis is not here, but may show up later. So there is that. Your presenters today are Curtis Armstrong, and he is a sales engineer, level 3. And then we also have a senior consulting engineer. I forget his name. Starts with an E, I think. No, it's Eric Blakely, ladies and gentlemen, and Curtis Armstrong, your hosts for Between Two MDMs.
All righty, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zach. My name is Curtis Armstrong, and welcome to another edition of Between Two MDMs. As Mike over there mentioned, the set may look a little bit familiar to you, and hopefully so will the content. However, probably not as rude and vulgar. And I say probably. Now, Eric, that's your name, right? Or is it? Yeah, Eric.
Yeah,
Okay.
At this point, really.
Thanks, Alan. All righty. So, So today I'm representing a Jamf Pro admin. And my guest here today, Ron Barkley, is from some school called Jamf. Is that how that's pronounced?
Yeah, we're getting off to a good start here. So, clearly we went all out on the decorations and, it's going great. Actually, I'm a Jamf school admin, so just to set the record.
Excellent. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Eric. All righty. So my first question for you is, on a scale of 1 to 30, how many MDM commands do you know?
1 to 30? Like what?
Do you know 3? How about 16?
What is happening?
So, Elron, is it frustrating to you that maybe with JMF school that people think that maybe you are not pro enough when in truth MDM?
How about we just go with all of them? Like we can do all of the MDM commands. How long does it take you to get a pro server up and running? Is it under 10 minutes?
Oh, well, there's a 4-hour onboarding service that that we can get that does all the setup and stuff for us. So 10 minutes? No, probably not. Are you saying that you can have Jamf School set up in 10 minutes?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're known for, right? It's like really easy and still super powerful, and we do all the things. So I don't know about this 30 number, but we'll just go with all of them.
So, we've got the 4-hour setup, sure. So it does arguably take a little bit longer than 10 minutes. So one of the things that I was wondering is that coming from Jamf school, implying that you are education.
It's Jamf.
Okay, yeah, sure. Implying that you are education focused. What does it that you actually do for teachers?
Well, you're here, like I would think you would know. It's actually something you do too. We just happen to do it a little bit more. We go beyond just the teaching and learning, and I guess maybe that's why I'm from this Jamf school.
I think it's pronounced Jamf, by the way.
Finally. Okay. We're going to get there, I guess. Yeah. But no, we really like to extend features like student-teacher messaging, allowing teachers to create their own groups of individual students, novel concept, clearing passcodes, and maybe even sending an attention message so teachers can actually be an active participant and get students back on track. Go figure.
So that seems to sound an awful lot like Apple Classroom. Is that just kind of what you're saying? Or are you saying that like Teacher App has even cooler teacher tools than maybe what I might find in my own Jamf Pro?
I mean, I like to think I'm pretty cool. I mean, I'm a pretty laid-back guy that enjoys, impacting teaching and learning. But in all honesty, the Teacher App really complements Apple Classroom. And so we kind of like to work hand in hand. There are some things that Classroom does that we don't, and vice versa. And so the two really kind of play off from each other really well. I think maybe slightly better than what's happening right now.
All right, on to the next thing. So those are pretty big words from a non-pro, I have to say.
Yeah, we'd like to keep it simple, but still powerful.
Okay, you want to talk about powerful a little bit? Yeah, how about that binary agent, right? Pretty nice to use that to do all the things on a Mac, right?
You're gonna go there, okay? Okay.
Well, I mean, what does
I mean, what does Mac management really look like? Like, we definitely handle the full MDM framework. We do automated device enrollment. We love smart groups, just like you do, because they're super powerful.
I
and
do love
impactful.
smart groups.
Inventory reporting, package-based app deployment, scripting. I'd say it's a pretty good management toolbox just within Jamf School.
Interesting. All right. Well, I mean, over here on the Jamf Pro side, we have multiple methods used for macOS management. We use MDM framework, just like you do. But we've got that binary agent for additional tasks that maybe fall outside of the MDM framework, like deploying scripts in just about any language that a Mac can read, running terminal commands, creating users, deploying packages and disk images. I mean, you mentioned package-based app installation, right? I mean, how well do you handle, let's say, Adobe packages? That well, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
Well, I mean, it can be certainly a challenge for everyone. But, I mean, I guess you kind of know that struggle too.
Yeah, let's move on past that one.
Fair enough. Okay, so, but hey, you know what? Speaking of packages, Jamf Pro has app installers? Yeah.
About that.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we really do. But hey, you know what? App installers curated by Jamf, and from an admin perspective, it allows us to focus more on other tasks instead of going out and constantly checking to see if there's a new version, downloading that package, maybe repackaging it because it's special or something, and then re-uploading it, and then let's see, a couple clicks later, and But
Yeah, it's time for that easy button, right?
that's my easy button.
Yeah,
So-
just tap it.
How much should I do?
Tap
I
it.
don't know. I don't like this.
That-
Well, what's happening? I don't see anything. Yeah?
Well,
Is there anything?
I think you should probably hit it again.
Wait a minute. How did you do that? There's an easy bit. It says coming soon to Jamf School. And
We can't even get the slide right because
Yeah.
it's there now. Like today, it just happened today.
Well, a little soon. That's soon, right? Today is soon.
Lowest budget production ever.
Okay. All right. So, okay, cool. So you've got app installers. That's very cool. I saw a screenshot this morning. It looks very impressive. Is that something you're really looking forward to?
It's been a hot minute coming, so yeah.
Cool. Very nice. All right. So yeah, so that's here now today. Fine. And thanks for hacking my easy button there. That's very well done. Are you some kind of hacker? Should I be threatened about you?
Keep it simple. Let's just keep it simple.
Anyway, okay. That's actually really pretty cool, I have to say. So let's get back to the conversation at hand here. So So Jamf has a lot of other solutions around security and identity. We've heard about those a bunch today.
Seems to be a running theme of the
I
day,
know,
at
right?
least. Yeah.
Something along trusted access or something like that line.
Yeah, I think you got
Yeah.
that one right. We're
Yeah,
doing good.
Did we see that earlier? Yeah. So maybe we should talk a little bit about Connect and Protect and how they relate to school and to pro.
Yeah, so the great thing here is like both of these solutions, Jamf School can easily deploy those. We know that we can do things a little bit easier. It's more education focused in school. Deployment might not be as easy as it is in Pro, but at the end of the day, Protect is deployed as a package, which I'm sure you're aware of. A configuration profile, that's something that an MDM does to send out to a device that has things in it, just trying to keep it real simple. And all of that's created and obtained from the Protect Cloud tenant that we already know and love. And since any security events are already logged and contained within Protect, then we can then use Jamf School as that mechanism for any sort of remediation that needs to happen. We can go leverage smart groups, for instance, and try to.
I love smart groups.
Yeah, we got that. Yep.
I love smart groups.
Right. So Jamf Connect, continuing that on, that app talks directly with your cloud identity provider. Again, we're bundling up the package and the config profile and pushing that out to the device. So yeah, Connect and Protect work with school as well.
I was hoping I was kind of going to stump you there, but no such luck. I mean, that's really good to hear, right? I'm very,
in all fairness, yeah.
I'm very happy for you. You know, I mean, on the pro side, we do
That
have.
makes my day to know that you're finally happy.
That's
for
good,
thank
good.
you.
I mean, we do have a little bit more pro, use air quotes, pro in the mix when it comes to Jamf Protect, for example. You know, if you're looking for some very advanced workflows, custom remediations, you know, that's where pro is going to kind of come in because it's going to leverage. I love smart groups. The smart groups that to be able to actually place that device directly into a smart group. And for the pro folks out in the audience, as you know, because you love smart groups too, you have the ability to set anything up for those, a policy or configuration profile. As soon as it drops in there, boom, you get connected to that. And you know, as for Connect, like you said, pretty much everything happens between the device and the cloud identity provider, right? I mean, I almost think of us almost as equals here. I know I said it. Where
You heard it here, folks.
where the you know, it's the deployment mechanism, right? It's the you mentioned the configuration profiles and the package and that kind of stuff, and you know, at the end of the day, we're the tool. I didn't call you a tool, by the way. We're the tool that gets the job done, right? Now, that being said, Pro does add a little bit more pro-y stuff, right? We have the ability to move that configuration profile directly over into the interface for easy distribution, so no download, upload business. And we've also got some extension attributes, which
Extension
allow
what?
attributes. Yeah.
Okay.
Attributes.
Okay.
They're little bits of inventory for collection, right? We can do that. We can collect some stuff. So every time that device checks in, it looks to see if there's any sort of custom attributes. And we can use some Jamf Connect attributes to help with identifying the last user that logged in or the first account set up and all that kind of cool pro-y type stuff.
So that might fit into some trusted access stuff, is, you know.
Kind of, yeah. All
So,
right.
well, since we're talking about trusted access, and that is kind of a theme of the day and the week, you did happen to leave out a key element in trusted access, specifically in education, and that's Jamf Safe Internet. I've actually got some pretty cool stuff regarding JSI.
Oh, so we're using acronyms now?
That's an initialism, actually.
All right. I can never understand
So,
that too.
for those that don't know, Safe Internet is Jamf's content filtering solution. Specifically with Jamf School, we make it really, really easy to deploy. So if you're catching on to a theme here, things are really dead simple in Jamf School. So literally with just a few clicks, no need to download, no need to upload activation profiles or anything like that. Deployment's a real simple task. So again, just a couple clicks and devices are now protected at the network level.
So I don't know how this slide, did you put this slide in here? I don't know, it keeps cropping up everywhere, I'll just have to say.
Trying to make it look a little bit fancier than what we're actually doing here. This is great.
So yeah, I mean, you're right. Safe internet. I mean, it is a pretty amazing tool. And you definitely got a leg up on Pro from a deployment standpoint.
Among other things, but yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, I've heard it is like dirt simple from a deployment standpoint. Like check a few boxes, click a few things, and you're gone, you're done.
What's that like in Pro?
Well, I mean, it's a little more complicated than that. I mean, we still use we have to go in and download the activation policy. We get it all configured. Download the activation policy and then upload it into Pro, and then hit edit, and then hit scope, and then hit and do some other stuff, and it gets out there eventually. Yeah, for sure.
So you like having to click on all the things and feel like you're doing all the things, and
I'm a pro. All right, I get to click buttons.
yeah, you keep saying professional, but like, what does that even really mean?
Well, I mean, when I think about being a pro, right? My dad once said to me that if you get paid to do something, you're a professional. And that kind of makes you a pro too, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
We're all pros here. Fine. Okay.
Yeah. So maybe we'll flip this around, and maybe I should interview you.
Oh, hang on a sec. This is my show. I mean, look at the set. Look at the decorations. I mean, this is my gig. I'm the pro here.
Didn't take long to look at the decorations, but yeah, clearly a lot of budget has been spent, and well worth the time and effort so far today. I'm glad I showed up. It's good.
And I mean, I did. In my defense, I ordered tables for the ferns, but they just didn't show up in time. No, what are you gonna do? So, I mean, I use Jamf Pro on my MacBook Pro, and I get MFA prompts on my iPhone Pro.
Oh dear Lord. Okay.
So that makes me a pro, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll give you that one, Mr. Pro.
I mean, in all this talking about this and this thing that my dad said a while back is that maybe I'm not so much of a pro after all. I don't know.
So
Do you do all this Apple management stuff for free? You don't, right?
I mean, in all honesty, if you're going to go that route, then we might. Everyone out in the audience here is a pro, because show of hands, I'm pretty sure everyone out there manages Apple devices and probably gets paid to do it, or hopefully gets paid. So
Is anybody doing Apple management here for free? No. Okay.
yeah, a couple crickets, and yeah, so.
All right, man, Elron, you are having me making me feel a little.
Don't even bother at this point.
It's okay. You're making me feel a little uncomfortable here, but I
Yeah,
mean,
Steve, that was my intent.
you're actually kind of making me second guess my entire life at this point.
Sorry, Steve.
It's Curtis.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay. So honestly, I mean, I love being a pro, but I have a confession. I'm a little envious. Sometimes I'm even a little jealous. When I see some of those workflows in Jamf School, like, for example, deploying apps. I mean, I was working a few weeks ago, and I had about, 40 or 50 apps. I was getting ready for the beginning of school, right? I had 40 or 50 apps to deploy and to, a dozen different groups. And do you have any idea how long that took me?
No, but I know how long it would take me.
Well, it took me like 10 clicks. And I base my life in clicks, right? How many clicks do I have to get through my day?
So sad. So very sad.
And I was watching this video, and I saw a Jamf School deployment of apps, and I said, no way, that can't be true. But 10 apps, 10 clicks per app. So multiply that times like 40 apps, and then times 24 groups, and that's easily like 3 million, right?
Like 30 MDM commands, yeah.
Yeah, 30, yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So, I mean, what does that look like to you?
Well, I mean, first of all, it doesn't sound very pro to me, but yeah, like I said, it's really easy in school, so it's pretty nice. You get your list of apps and you select the ones that you want all on one screen, and you click a button and they go to the devices you want them to go to.
Wait, how many clicks did you say that took?
Less than your 3 million.
Nice.
But just a few clicks, and yeah, all on one screen.
Oh, like you don't have to go into each app?
No, you just check a box next to all the apps that you want, and then just say, "Yep, go."
That seems really nice. Well, I'm kind of envious of you there.
Yeah, I get it. So
By the way, you're a fantastic interviewer.
I think I'm doing a slightly better job here. So, you know, if a friend came up to you and said, "Charles, I respect you as a professional," that's what I said, Charles. "I'm now in charge of all the Apple devices in my school. What do you recommend, Jamf Pro or Jamf School?" How would you reply knowing that you're a professional?
Well, I'd start by saying I'm a professional. And I think I'd kind of base it on a decision fern. Have you ever heard of a decision fern?
I can't wait to hear about this.
Okay. Well, a decision fern is like a decision tree, but it's shorter and smaller.
Like what this episode should be like, right?
Yeah. All right. So decision tree, maybe we should call it a decision tree because it's easier, but I'm going to still call it. So anyway, the decision fern is, I like to start out with the device types, because that's always a good path. And I think we've established here that both school and pro can manage Macs, can manage iPads, can manage Apple TVs, can manage iPhones, can manage a hi-fi home stereo for iPods.
Wait a minute.
Oh, it doesn't do that.
Yeah, no.
I love that thing, though. It's great. It's got all my stuff on it. So, if they start out with saying, well, we're predominantly iPad, or, we're a mix of iPad and Mac, and maybe we're just, we don't do a lot with the Mac. I hear that, some people tell me that sometimes, but we just want to, make them available, set some restrictions, do some teacher, deploy some apps, maybe leverage something like Jamf Connect so the user can use their Google identity to sign on to that Mac. And if the conversation sort of stops there, I'm probably going to, based on what I learned today from you, which is very helpful.
Oh, you're welcome.
I would probably suggest Jamf School. On the flip side of that, well, not even on the flip side, right? I think you pretty well said that Jamf School is very efficient. It's very easy to get set up in a hurry. Like if this person that came to me and they came to me today, I would be like, yeah, but didn't school start like 3 weeks ago? And they'd be like, yeah, but I need a decision now. I'd probably definitely send them over to your side of the house there. I've also heard it's pretty cost effective and that there's some different licensing options too, right? We don't want to get into that because that's, other stuff. But, if anyone wants to know, we could always talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's money. Who wants to talk about that?
Yeah, nothing in education is guided by money.
No.
Yeah.
We all have infinite budgets. It's fine.
Yes.
We'll be good.
Yeah. My dad also once told me that corporations have tons of money that they don't want to spend, and education has no money that they would love to spend. Yeah, very
Profound
deep,
words.
Very profound. My dad was a smart man. Now,
Clearly trickled down.
so does that answer your question as to if somebody came to me and said, what tool should I use here? What management system?
Yeah, I guess I'm a little stumped on the pro side of things because why pro then?
Well, I think if you need that level of truly deep, customized inventory reporting, very deep levels of integration with third-party tools, advanced API integrations, local distribution points, cloud distribution. Well, you guys, never mind, you have that. A local distribution point, things like that. That's when I start to steer that direction over into Jamf Pro.
Do you ever ask why? Just because you've been doing something a certain way for a really long time, do you have to continue that way? Why?
I like to imagine that if I was in the role of a sales engineer, I would probably ask why a lot more. But I just do what I'm told. So, but
I'm sure there's valid reasons.
I guess
but
what kind of why questions might you hypothetically ask someone?
Just why are we doing printer management like that? Why are we still printing and cutting down trees? No, that's a philosophical question. But
Right.
I think it's good to just maybe take time and reevaluate the why we are doing things the way we are, and maybe see if there's different, more efficient ways to get to the same end result. If it took us 15 steps and 30 clicks, but we can get to the same end result, if that path looks a little bit different, but the end users don't see that as any different, they're getting what they need, then why not?
Why or why not?
Yes.
Oh, that's good. All right, cool. Well, let's see here. I mean, we talked a lot about, or I think we talked a lot about sort of some of the differentiations between pro and school. I don't know, I guess maybe let me ask you a question. If somebody came to you and asked that very same question of what solution do I need, would you do things any differently than I did?
No, I think you actually brought up valid points. At the end of the day, there are two MDMs, and I know we're getting close on time here, but we have two products, right? There are two good solutions for different use cases, and at the end of the day, there is an internal dialogue that hopefully is similar or a little more friendly than what we're having today. Because it can be confusing. So I think, some of the points that you made about what does your deployment look like, whether it's Mac OS, iOS, a mixture. But I also don't want to shy away from like the teaching and learning space. Like, what do you want that to look like in your school? And then using those answers and not being afraid of moving away from the way you've done things for years or more in the past, and evaluating where you want to go, and then using those answers to kind of decide which one makes the most sense, because it's the end result that matters, right? It's the end result for our end users, how impactful IT can be to get them there, to really make that technology kind of be transparent in the background. Because at the end of the day, it's about teaching and learning. And whatever your vision of teaching and learning is in your district, we just want to make sure that you have an MDM that does get you there.
So if I could interpret all of that in smaller, simpler words for myself, talking with your different the different groups of individuals at your school is very important, right? Including curriculum and including teaching and learning. And
Yeah, communication is pretty key.
And so instead of just making decisions in a bubble, actually bringing that out to a wider scope of individuals that are essential to the teaching and learning situation.
Yeah. And, honestly, like all of us here are primarily IT, right? And we've hearing a lot about trusted access, and there's always this focus on security and making sure devices are going to be set up the way that we expect them to be set up. But we also play a role in facilitating teaching and learning, and we really get to shine when we can make that happen in a seamless way. So when a student, a teacher, an administrator picks up their device and they don't have to think about what they have to do in order to do their job, then that's a win for everyone here. So whatever that vision is, school or pro, one of those can help you get to that overall vision. And it's going to be unique for each individual school. So, hopefully this helped. I know obviously we were trying to play a little bit of a having some fun for a difficult conversation, when it comes to deciding between two products. And at Jamf, we have a lot of products. So, thank you for hanging with us. I know we have a few minutes left. I don't know if we have some Q&A that we can get through.
Excellent, yes. Thank you, Elron, for co-hosting this today.
Elron and Charles, everyone. Let's give them a round of applause. No, seriously, though, Curtis and Eric, fantastic. Thank you for walking through those differences. We do have some great questions for you. One was about licensing. I thought I'd throw that at you first. You mentioned briefly licensing, and there are differences between pro and school. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so on the school side, because I'm from JMF school, we can do annual licenses or perpetual. So the way we like to think about that is on the perpetual side, you might want to do that for like a brand new device, because ideally you're going to be holding that on to for a handful of years, and that is just one cost per device. Or you can do an annual per year per device cost. So maybe if you've got an aging fleet, you just pay a set price per year per device.
And that leads into one of the earlier questions of a price difference between pro and school. You want to dive into that a little bit?
I would say to reach out to your friendly account executive and sales engineer to discuss, because pricing is always a conversation, right? So I would leave it
I
there.
mean, there's some MSRP stuff, I think, up on the website. But as Eric pointed out, especially as we're talking about different products and potentially additional products too, right? There's pricing is always a conversation. I think another thing too that from a pricing structure too that's worth noting is that on the Jamf Pro side, pricing is different between computers and everything else. Which we used to call mobile devices, and I always wondered why Apple TVs were part of that because they're not super mobile. But devices and computers, where on the Jamf School side, it's one price, regardless of what the platform is.
Yep.
And it's a significant discount from enterprise to education.
Oh yeah, don't. Well, I mean, if you want to feel good, go look at the commercial pricing for things like Jamf Pro and Jamf Connect, and then come over to the education side of the house, and then you'll be like, oh gosh, phew. Okay.
So another question that was answered via the tool itself. A bunch of people put in some comments, so thank you. But I'll share with you guys just so you know. I currently have Jamf School. Where can I find these Jamf app installers? And so the easy button that you referenced. And so the instructions were dropped in and a link to the documentation. But it is pretty easy. You do have to accept terms and conditions before app installers will appear, but it appears under the app menu on the left side.
Yeah. So there, just for a quick rundown for anyone that didn't read the comments or anything, just like in Pro, you would accept terms and agreements, and then you have that's a separate module within Jamf School, and then App Installers is its own area where you can go in and search for the app that or find the app that you want and deploy it like you would a normal app.
And there are 3 questions that all fall into the sort of future roadmap category that I don't believe any of us can answer. But the questions are on here. Will the two ever merge into a single Jamf management product? And they actually spelled out Jamf.
Oh, that's good.
Another one was, will Pro ever incorporate Jamf School features? And the third was, are there features of Jamf School, like the easier deployment that you discussed, going to be included in Jamf Pro? So all questions that are sort of future development, but comments we can make?
Obviously can't talk to, future plans or anything like that, but one thing that...
We like our jobs at Jamf.
you can say anything you want on your last day at Jamf, but it is not today.
Or Apple.
So I will say, like, we touched a little bit on the Jamf Teacher app. That's one area that there are some differences in, and I think a lot of that comes down to how both MDMs approach management. So in Jamf School, there are some features that aren't a one-to-one correlation with Jamf Pro, but some of that is different because Jamf Pro has a self-service area where things like app requests can live, whereas that lives a little bit different in Jamf School. So we are going to see those differences. It's a different approach to how we look at management. I think we saw in the keynote today some cool things with Jamf Pro 11 and looking at how we're approaching management there. So from an ease of deployment, things of that nature, I would just say, let's see where that goes. But just different philosophies on how devices are managed. School is education only. So obviously we are looking specifically at education workflows and how we can make that easier for not only IT professionals, but schools that might not have a full IT department. And we have other amazing folks that are managing devices, from library media specialists, classroom teachers, maybe a student help desk. So really just honing in on those. So I think we'll see those differences, but hopefully that helps understand the why behind it.
Yeah, we always say that Jamf School is purpose-built for education.
Yep.
So that's it for the questions that were asked in the app. Any shy folks that didn't want to use the app, or extroverts that just want to be on the microphone and raise their hand? I can run out to you. Okay, there's an extrovert. We found one. Okay. Well, here you go.
How does Jamf School handle printers and stuff?
So the question, just to make sure everyone listening in at home, was how does Jamf School handle printers? I have a personal opinion on printers in education. I came from a school district where every single teacher had a printer on their desk, so you can probably guess my opinion on printers. So, from a printer deployment standpoint, I guess it kind of depends on the printer. If we're looking at like universal drivers, packaging that up like we normally would, deploy that out to machines via MDM, standard MDM stuff, and going that route. Pro handles it a little bit different.
Yeah. Do you know if, I remember there was a document floating around that I think was made public, not like a couple weeks ago, around Jamf School and the workflows and steps for deploying printers. Pretty sure that's out there.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah.
But printer deployment we know is kind of challenging regardless, right? Because between different model drivers and then if you're using a third-party solution like PaperCut or something like that, that adds another layer of complexity. But at the end of the day, we have to deploy something to a managed device. Because Jamf School does support custom packages, it would be bundling up that package. Composer is still a valuable tool for both Pro and School. So that comes with your school subscription as well. So Composer is really that sort of foundation to get those packages created, customized, and then use Jamf School to deploy that out. Yeah, that's a good question, even though I love printers.
I think we all got loathe printers. I have to be particularly careful as I live in the state of Maine, which is one of the primary paper producing states in the country. So going to a school in Maine and telling them that they should just stop printing is generally met with a frown.
I have my own stories, but I'll leave those behind. A new question came in. Why just cover 2 MDMs? Where does Jamf Now fit in this conversation? Do you see a role for Jamf Now in any educational institutions?
So sure, if you want to pay for it, right? I would say you're getting a somewhat equivalent functionality as Jamf School would have, right, from just an MDM command perspective. In fact, probably a little bit less. And you're paying a whole lot more, right? I think that's in the order of like...
And at the end of the day, we're just not marketing Jamf Now as an education.
Yeah, and there's that. Yeah. But I mean, like, if somebody really wanted to go down that path, right? I mean, I think the thing that you would be missing out on that is any of the educational content, the ability to create classes, the ability to use something like Jamf Teacher or Apple Classroom as a tool for instruction. Yep. You're just missing it. You're paying more and missing out on a lot. So generally, the direction is going to be to go over to. And I have found some customers that I've had that have not accidentally, but because it is actually pretty easy to sign up for Now, they signed up and then their account grew, and then they were like, well, seem like we're paying a lot of money for this. And I was like, why aren't you using School?
Well, and that's another reason why we do these sessions, right? Because we do have a couple of products at Jamf, so we understand that it can bring with it some questions and potential confusion. So hopefully this has helped.
And so I have my own question here. I'm going to throw. It's a leading question. Jamf Pro has Jamf 100, 200, 300, 400, but Jamf School doesn't have anything, does it?
Well, funny you should mention that. Actually, you just tossed it there. I feel like.
Do I need to answer it as well?
No.
Okay.
We did the Jamf 240 just launched
yesterday.
Was it yesterday? Yeah. So Jamf School does have its own certification path now. So highly recommend that. I'm going to toss it back to you. I know we're a little over time, but there's some additional cool stuff for not only IT professionals, but educators when it comes to Jamf School and Pro.
It's actually called Jamf Educator. So if you haven't heard of Jamf Educator, it's a free training platform for teachers or tech coaches or folks that work on the instructional side to learn how to use Jamf Teacher, which is one of the apps that comes free with purchase with either Pro or School, but it achieves its full functionality in the Jamf School environment. And the cool thing about Jamf Educator is that it's a virtual simulated environment. So you don't have to have deployed Teacher to get your teachers all trained up on it. And it has a path for your tech coaches, your instructional coaches as well. It's called the Ed Tech path. They can go through, learn how to train them to use Jamf Teacher, and it walks you through how you can set up app restrictions or web restrictions in their Jamf teacher environment in the classroom with their students using iPads. You could do it on a Mac, you could do it on a teacher iPad, and it works in a browser. So, and it's free to sign up, and you earn a badge when you complete it. So it's a lot like Apple Teacher, but Jamf specific.
Awesome.
One more did pop in here. It's about Adobe, your favorite topic. Does Jamf School have difficulties with Adobe packages specifically or large packages in general?
I would say Adobe specifically. It's just, does anyone here, have they deployed Adobe before using Pro or School? And keep your hands up if you had a good time with it. That was a trick
And the
question.
hands went down. For those in the audience, virtually, the hands all went down. Well, do we expect that's going to be made easier by app installers arriving on Jamf School?
Yep, I think for those using, the modern user-based authentication for Adobe Suite products, app installers is going to be a lot easier. Yeah, keep those apps updated and everything like that.
Oh, this is a great question. Sorry, I know we're just on the edge of time here, but is it possible to use both products, Jamf School and Pro, at the same time?
Absolutely. Awesome
great
question.
question,
Yeah. So, I mean, in my experience, taking myself out of this seat for a second, is that I actually have a number of customers that do that, right? They want the best of both worlds, right? They want to be able to leverage the instructional tools like teacher and student. They want to be able to, do efficient device management with, let's say, hypothetically, their iPads. But they need that robust Mac management, that deep level of integrations, that binary agent on the Pro side. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll have two separate instances. Nothing wrong with that, and splitting those, for that truly like the toolkit, right, the tool belt, and having the right tool in the tool belt for the right job.
Yeah, and we talked about choosing between an MDM or choosing an MDM, right, with what we have between Pro and School. But like Curtis said, at the end of the day, it's what is going to make the most sense in your school. And what we see times is classrooms that are using a lot of iPad in their particular buildings are sometimes a little bit more focused on the teaching and learning space for those particular workflows. So school's a great fit. But maybe their Macs are all pushed out to administrators, faculty, staff, maybe not even to the student level, and deploying them to Pro checks the box for different folks within the organization, different departments from IT to security and whatnot. So definitely not uncommon, but we always go back to the why. Like that's where Curtis and I live, is the why, because we really want to probe into that and to really understand at the end of the day, we want to know what you're trying to accomplish, but also the why behind it, because we never know what we don't know. And just because we've been doing it a certain way, there might be another way to get you to the same end result in a product that makes a little bit more sense.
And you could realize quite a budget savings as well. If you've got a significant Mac installation and a significant iPad installation, and you're being pressured to lower the cost, that would be a way of lowering, the iPad side of it if you managed in Jamf School.
And, I said it tongue in cheek to Curtis, is like, what does Mac management look like to you? And that's kind of the question that we ask all of you, is what at the end of the day does Mac management look like? What are those top 3 or 5 things that you feel are a must? And let's talk about them. And a lot of the times we can get there with Jamf School. That path might look different, but the end result's going to be the same. Sometimes we can't, because there are legitimate business needs that can't be accomplished in school without a lot of extra work. And then so there's that, cost benefit, like, okay, how much time and effort is it going to take for me to get this to work versus just using Pro on the Mac side and maybe, again, School on the iOS side?
Fabulous. And that's a great place to end the tale of two MDMs between two MDMs. Thank you all for coming. Please make sure you ask any other questions in that Q&A app, and we can respond later. And have a fantastic JNUC.
Thanks, everyone. And we'll be around too, so for any
Thanks,
other
everyone.
questions. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.